On October the 12th through to November 23rd, Mars is going to enter the sign of Scorpio, his very special home kingdom. And he's going to do something he hasn't done since 1991, and before that 1959, and before that 1944. And it's going to make a big difference in your life and in my life over the 2 years that follow. That's called his Cazimi with the sun, or meeting with the sun in the heart of the sun on November 17th. But we're also going to look at other things he does during this month ahead in this dive into Mars through Scorpio. He's going to be traveling in Scorpio, and he's going to come into a trine to Saturn, an opposition to Jupiter and Uranus, as well as he's going to apply some very interesting endgame stories to Neptune. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to go through the collective and what it might look for each of us as well, based on your sun, moon, and rising sign. Probably your sun sign is your rising sign will be most accurate. Try that first, sun and moon secondarily. Listen to all three and let me know which is most accurate for you. So if you're new to my channel, hey, welcome back. Welcome for the first time. My name is Lori Lothian, using the whole sign house system, Western tropical zodiac astrology, with minor asteroids in the fray. We're going to be talking about some of those minor asteroids today, by the way. We have some interesting action in the sky with the asteroid Pan. Maybe for pandemic, I mean. Oh my goodness, it's been a day. We're going to be talking about also the asteroid Apollo, the god of prophecy and plagues and also leadership. He's playing a really intense role here as Mars goes through Scorpio. And we'll also look a little bit at how Mars moving through Scorpio might also be shifting the gears of reality when it comes to breaking the rules, because things that, as they've always been done, from dogmatic on high, following the rules, Mars is going to try to crush those rules and make a big breakaway energy. It can look like protests and riots and rebellions. So we'll get into the protest, riot, rebellious time coming up for the world as Mars moves through Scorpio. And try hitting that like button, subscribing, hit that notification bell. If you're new to my channel, everything about me is in the description box. Classes I'm teaching, things that I'm up to in terms of my Patreon community, who gets early access, ad-free content well ahead of the public, as well as many other perks. Until mid-October, I have a promotion. You might still catch it if you're lucky, and that's come join my Patreon community. Get everything. Get a free course on how to do relationship astrology, a free mini course on how to do Chiron, the key to purpose. These are 2-hour courses roughly each. And my 2023 All Signs videos, that's 12-hour video content. Used to be for sale for $44. It still is. But if you come to my Patreon community right now, you get that for free as well. That's a value of $100 for trying me out. All right, I feel like a salesman at an auctioneer thing. All right, so let me get my story going here. First of all, let's just say a couple of things about Mars, right? Poor guy's got a bad rap, but he is the lesser malefic. And we're going to be showing you the sky in a minute. And as a malefic, and I'm trying to look like Mars and Scorpio. I'm getting ready to go out, actually. This is my leather jacket. You know, this is my kind of gothy Coppertus Woo necklace that I promoted a few weeks ago. And so if you get the vibe, I'm trying to go like biker gang girl, because Mars is Scorpio, right? He's in his feminine sign, which is like he's not in his warrior mode like an Aries would be, getting the soldier outfit on, but rather he's kind of more feminine. He's kind of got more of his like inner softness going, his yin version of himself. And he ends up looking on real life like a detective, like a forensics expert, like a researcher, like an investigator. There's that stealthy, sleuthy spy quality when he's in Scorpio as well. And so when he's moving through Scorpio for the world, which happens to occur every 2 years, it's nothing rare. He's usually there for 6 weeks. And this time it's October 12th to November 23rd. We just see him doing the things he does in Scorpio, often revealing secrets, or, activating stealthy actions. Maybe, it's good for the CIA. But however, this time he's going to meet with the sun, and he's going to do that around the 17th of November. And that connection with the sun is called a Cazimi. And the last time he did a Cazimi here was 1991, 1959, 1944. And this next time after this is 2038. So it's relatively on a every 30 odd year schedule. And except for exceptions like 44 to 59. And that will be an exception between 1970 and 1985. He flips into a shorter schedule of 15, 16 years. But it's a reset button. It's wherever Mars dies in the heart of the sun, things are about to change in your Scorpio part of your sky. And I can give you some examples. Mars died in the heart of the sun in Virgo, the sign for health, back before the pandemic in the fall of 2019. And that onset of a health Virgo crisis, pandemic was what we saw from that, for example, right? So when Mars dies in the heart of the sun in a sign, we expect to see shifts over 2 years in that sign. Things are changing. So he died in the heart of the sun in Libra in 2021, and that's about balance, harmony, and peace. And what do we see when he died in the sign of Libra? We saw war. We saw the Ukraine war with Russia. We also saw a lack of balance in terms of what we consider justice, or changes or tippings of the justice system. For example, the overturn of Roe versus Wade. So now he's coming to the heart of the sun, or coming into the heart of the sun in Scorpio, and that's one part of your sky of 12 pie slices. Could be your marriage house, could be your career house, could be your home and home life. We're not going to deep dive into that because I want to go through all of the ideas of what Mars is doing here. But we're going to do a deep dive video on that really, really, really in depth coming up in November itself. So you do want to like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. I do put out literally 25, 30 videos per month, and you want to catch the wave on each of those. Now, the other things he's doing this month as he moves through the sign is of Scorpio, is he's coming in the beginning, very start of the whole thing, the 12th to the 14th, into a trine with retrograde Saturn at 0 degrees of the sign of Pisces. Now, Mars is flowing to Saturn. This is a positive energy, and there's a connection because even Saturn in retrogradation, really kind of stationary, but still moving more retrograde, is moving energetically towards Mars. And so Mars Saturn is a applied ambition. Hard, it's kind of perseverant, determined, hard work and energy. But Saturn is also structures and forms, and Mars is like the builder of it all. So you can really build some serious forms or structures in your life that have enduring value and lasting legacy value between October 14th 12th to the 14th. And we're not going to talk too much about that for the collective at this point, because I suspect when Saturn goes into direct motion November the 4th, that's when we're going to see more of that story playing out, not less of it. And also Mars will come into an opposition to Jupiter, and then a little bit later Uranus. Now, Jupiter is retrograding until the end of this year, and he's literally going to be connecting to Mars, not by his own choice. Mars is the one moving more quickly. And between October 27th to the 30th, that's when that opposition happens. Now, technically, Mars and Jupiter combinations are highly inflated and combustible. Jupiter makes everything larger than it normally is, and Mars is like, Mars, right? A larger protest, a larger rebellion, a larger war, a larger conflict, a larger Martian story. And so perhaps because Jupiter's retrograde, it won't be as explosive, but if it is explosive energy in the collective October 27th to 30th, it's covering ground that we've seen before. This is covering content that's been in the news cycle or in the ethos of the world between the middle of May, right, through to this point coming up October 27th to 30th. It makes for one humdinger of a Halloween. And I'm going to just say, if you're doing Halloween parties around the 27th to the 31st of the month, please be careful. All right. Because it's not an easy transit. I don't want to worry anybody, but it's kind of got the bomber vibe, right? Because Mars is the bombs and Jupiter blows it up. And that's not the kind of thing I want to be doing is, out in clubs or something. I don't know. What can I say? Just going to pretend, every person who hears this is going to go, not in my hometown. I agree. Probably not. But shooters, shooting sprees, guns, bombs, explosives. Eek. So October 27th, about 31, it's a Halloween to duck, if you ask me. And Jupiter is on Albion during all of this. This is the star of the high hill of ancient it's an asteroid that represents the high hill of ancient England where the giants once lived. And the delineation is about not doing things in autopilot or in dogmatic ways that have been done before, but it also invites resistance and rebellion to those power structures from on high telling people how you're supposed to do something. So we can see some definite rebellion, protest energy, especially when Uranus gets into the mix a little bit later, and that is super already. Mars, Jupiter, then you add Uranus, rebellious, freedom-loving, busting out, energetic. So the energy there with the Uranus story, my date is Uranus. What time are you doing that? November the 10th. Now, when I say November the 10th, October 27th to the 31st, and then November 10th, give that November 10th 4 or 5 days on each side. Uranus is a very slow moving planet. It's very, huge energy field. And yeah, we see that potential explosion energy and unexpected, and also rebellion. So I don't know what people are rebelling about, but we're going to look at the asteroids in a minute because I'm seeing connections to the themes of the pandemic. I know people think I'm all about the pandemic. It's not the pandemic, it's panic or pandemic. And Wuhan's in the mix. It's like you can't ask for more. So what the hell is Wuhan and Pan for pandemic doing in Scorpio? I mean, sure, there could be more lab leak theory revelations. It's no longer a theory, right? Unless you got your head in the sand. There's enough evidence there by the government bodies researching them, including the CIA, who told their researchers and their people getting a good sense it was probably not zoonotic, to not tell anybody what they found. So I'm tired of these stories myself. People think I'm obsessed with them. And like someone said on my channel, everything is about the pandemic. And I'm like, no, I know, but the sky's asteroids are about that right now. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in that October 27th through to the November 15th around very tense issues regarding these matters. Now, there's also energy going on here with the star Alphecca. Around the 27th to the 30th, Mars is sitting with Alphecca, and it's the Corona Borealis, which is the crown. And there's a square to Apollo, which is leader. So we may see rebellion against a world leader dethroned or decrowned in some way, or stepping down. I mean, in England, it could be Prince Charles. King Charles says he's no longer doing the job, but it could also be solar figures, Apollo figures, leader figures, and Mars on Alphecca, the crown, decrowning somebody. So it doesn't just have to be monarchies, right? And it could be also just world leaders in general. Now, Vladimir Putin seems to have a Scorpio rising, according to the rectified charts most people are using. And it makes sense based on what I know of his history. And of course, this is going to impact him personally as well. And we do have his own energy field getting entangled in this whole Mars energy with, the crown Alphecca opposite Jupiter, opposite Uranus, and squaring Apollo. So, maybe a lot of people think Vladimir Putin's been ill, and that may be true. And if that's the case, then maybe he'll step away or step down. Righty. And a lot of people think the big whole Ukraine incursion was his last big, making his mark in history, because maybe he has a terminal illness or something. And then we're going to round up the month basically with a trine to Neptune, Mars trine Neptune. It's kind of spiritual warrior energy. It's kind of dreamy. It's happening around the very end of the whole transit. Let's say dates like November 16th to the 23rd. And we'll be doing a video on that when that occurs as well. I'm really intrigued by this myself. I'm like, wow, like what was happening in your life in 1991, guys, plus 2 years in the Scorpio part of your chart? Because when we do the all signs, I'm going to touch on it lightly, but I really want to saturate the story and dive in really deep. And I'm going to have a guest supporting me on that one, Rachel of Aeolian Heart as well. So look forward to that. I really look forward to that collaboration coming up in early November. Okay, so let's get going. I'm going to show you the picture. These are ram's horns, okay? They're not devil's horns, and that's not Baphomet. Okay, that's not Baphomet. Someone said that's a goat. Okay, that's a goat. And this is, yes, the Aries symbol. Someone said more than one person said I've got demonic symbols on my channel. Okay, if you think that the world is made up of demonic symbols, maybe you should be watching astrology and you should go to your Pope and ask for forgiveness or whatever. This is just the symbols of the zodiac. Okay, thank you guys for the rest of you who are not weird. Okay, so I'm going to blow this up and we're going to go share the screen. Oh no, I think my video just cut out. I'm having some internet issues again today, and I just got a booster in this room. So if I cut out, yeah, so you get the vibe, right? If I cut out suddenly, I love this leather coat. I've had it for a decade. Is that toothpaste on me? Well, we won't, you guys can't see it. Oh, yes, I've had a long day. I've been recording a lot. I'm getting giddy. Okay, let's take a look at the sky. I'm recording this on October 3rd for my Patreon community. I don't know when you guys get it, probably a week later, but if that kind of early access ad-free content is any interest to you, come on and join in for $5 a month. Alrighty, so here I've got us jumped ahead, and I don't really want to go that far ahead. So let's go back to the beginning. Don't get dizzy, and I'll take you through the story visually, and then we'll do all signs. Now, for the all signs portion, I'm going to focus, I think, on the opposition to Jupiter. That's happening around Halloween, the 27th to the 31st. And, it seems to me like that's an important one to focus on. And as for the Cazimi, because I'm doing a separate video for that November 17th or so Cazimi, we will let that go until then. Alrighty. So there's November 17th. There's the sun. Sorry, and what year am I in? Has been October. I'm in October. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's go back in time. Okay, here we go. Ready? So there we have Mars moving into Scorpio. As you can see right here, watch my cursor. If I annotate it, it'll just look like a mess. And that's October the 12th. And so here he is, a 00, he's in. He's just been with the South Node. I just did a recording with a fellow's Astrofinance and Beyond channel, Osher. And we just did a really deep dive into this whole South Node and Mars and the eclipse energies and stuff like that. And hopefully, I mean, by the time you're getting this, we may have seen that market turbulence, downdrafting, economic problems or whatever, Federal Reserve problems, who knows? Maybe that's already behind us. But anyway, I'm recording before this all happens. Mars moves into Scorpio at 0 degrees here, and he's having it his time starting on the 12th. And the first thing he wants to do on his agenda is talk to Saturn retrograde. So I told you there was that trine between the two of them. That's that blue line there. That's very positive. There's something somehow suggesting that there's going to be some ability to firm something up in your life. It has to do with the 12th, I mean, the Pisces and the Scorpio axes of your chart. As an Aries rising, that's my house of reputation, my 10th house, and my second house of earnings. So I'm not going to delineate that one. I'll do a separate video on that closer to next week, perhaps, or my week ahead video that comes out every Monday, most likely. And as Mars is moving along, you'll begin to see he's getting ready to connect in an opposition to Jupiter. And we're starting to feel it around October the 25th even, in terms of engagement. And it starts to intensify. There's Mars and there's Jupiter as we move toward the 27th and 28th. Now, what I talked about earlier, and I will annotate this for you, is this is Apollo, the god of prophecy, and the god of leadership, like a sun god, and the god of plagues. And yeah, plagues was a thing he was all about, plagues as well. So there's Apollo, a brother of Artemis / Diana. He's a sun god that drags, there we go. They drag that cursor over there. Okay. Now that energy, badly drawn, is a square, T-square. And at the same time, here's Hygeia, the asteroid for health, right? And during the pandemic, she looked like masking, social distancing, hand washing, Javix bleach in your veins. Some people know that joke, right? It was health. It was hygienic health measures, and that makes a square in the sky called a grand cross. This is pretty darn intense, if you ask me, for the world. Hygeia has been playing a role in Aquarius, which is about rules for the group, rules for the people, rules for society regarding health matters. And health matters, not just hygiene, any kind of health protocols, okay? Rules about health protocols. And over here we have this plague god and leader gods, and this is a really tight energy of like an opposition, and it creates a big grand cross in the sky, which is gnarly as all F. And so here we have people. What are they doing? What are the people, Mars people, doing here? Right? What is this about? There's news cycle stuff going on. We have Mercury there. We have Sun, which can leader figures. We have the asteroid America. We had the asteroid Wuhan in here until just before this, a couple of days earlier. Wuhan was in a stellium. That's Wuhan right here with this whole stuff. And here's this little guy with the antenna. That's Pan, like Pan, the Green Man and all of that. But Pan has also been used during this time. Asteroids work with sound alikes and close enoughs. And the asteroid Pan has often been associated with panic, but also pandemic. All right, or pandemonium. Take your Pan words. So Pan can also mean global or everywhere. So this Pan energy is very important because it's really connected to a stellium that also had just recently involved Wuhan. So what's coming out of this? Is this some more news about the pandemic because of Mercury? Are people all upset and angry and rebelling? I'm not even putting the moon in there because it's all moving too quickly, but just know there's energy in the sky that's pretty gnarly. Maybe we should put the moon in because in mundane astrology, guess what? The moon is the people, all the people who are all upset or something. Maybe not. You'll be surprised how many people are not upset by anything that's happening in the world. I can't even talk about it really because I'll get I'll get demonetized. Sorry guys. I was going to show it to you, but now my whole computer just This happens all the time. I'm just going to trash the annotations. Give me a minute. I can't see you anymore. I just lost everything. Clear all drawings. Yeah. And we're coming back without any drawings. Okay. So you're seeing it, I know, but I wasn't. Okay. So I just wanted to put the moon in, and we'll add her, and we'll get moving. So funny. There we go. Moon, come on in. Oh, wow. I'm not even gonna try. Okay, my back end of my software has gone into like weird mode, so never mind. It won't let me get there. Oh, thank you. Moon. So at the time when this is getting really critical, October the 28th, 29th, 7th, 28th, 29th, the moon is going to be moving through Taurus with Jupiter. The moon can mean we the people. And this is, intense energy because it's also becoming a full moon. It is a full moon. That's when the dogs are howling and the crazy people are acting out. Full moon. Oh my goodness, a full moon during this Halloween buildup is really gnarly. Okay, so that moon is still there on the 29th with shock and awe. But the moon can be the people or fullness in the Taurus part. And this is about the Albion asteroid. I forgot to draw it in, but it's conjunct Jupiter, and it's following those dogmatic rules from on high, doing it the same old way because it's always been done that way. And with Mars over here, this is usually about protest or pushback or no thank you. And he's in dignity. He's in his home kingdom of Scorpio. So he's pretty strong here. And Jupiter's trying to follow the rules that Venus wants him to follow. And what's she into? She's into health. She's in Virgo. So she's thinking about health, and health matters. And she's being very strict about it. And Jupiter said, okay, I'll pay attention to health, and health matters. And then there's a shake up, rebellious full moon energy going across the sky. So let's see what happens. I really don't know what it'll be. I mean, it may be something completely different. It may be something to simply do with, I have no idea, protests about the medical system in some way, health problems. Who knows? I don't think it's like a resurgence. I know a lot of people ask me, well, is it going to be another resurgence that's really bad of a viral problem? Are we going to go back to something worse? I don't think so. I just don't. I think this is the old story finishing up, because it was Mars's death in the heart of the sun, Cazimi and Virgo in 2019 that sets this off. Okay. That was kind of already closing down shop in the fall of 21 when he reset his buttons, Cazimi and Libra, tropical zodiac Libra. And if you want to think about it, that was Omicron, and Omicron equalized the playing field and made everything like more like the common cold and less like something that could inflate the lungs, damage the lungs, and cause more serious challenges to the human body. So really, I do think this is a waning story and it's completely done. But this might be looking at the ways, the rules, because Saturn was here, around hygienic and hygiene and health measures, the enforcement of those rules, the coercion of those rules. Nothing was a suggestion, right? There's going to be some whiplash, backlash going on here. Now, Scorpio is the natural ruler of the house of death, the 8th house of death, and Mars is going into the 8th house of death. And there's a lot of stories that might be about things to do with the word death. I don't mean everyone's going to die. I mean, again, if a bomb blows up, then some people might have a problem here for sure, but not everybody. But I'm going to say that there has been a lot of reporting on non-mainstream media about excess, mortality, around the world, especially in countries that took a certain protocol for prevention of serious illness rather than the countries who didn't. And I don't want to, you could probably lose, you can leave. This is not a fantasy. These excess deaths are occurring around the world, right? I probably got flagged on those words. And what can you do, right? Why is that happening in countries that had a very high uptake of a certain health measure versus ones that had a very low uptake or none at all? So there could be some very big news stories coming out around Halloween, just before Halloween, because I see Mercury is all the news that's fit to print. And Mercury is quite capable of bringing us alarming news stories, perhaps, where there are people getting very riled up about it. Okay. Now, let's get ahead of this story and just talk a little bit more about the end of the month, and then we'll do all signs. All signs are going to focus on that gnarly Halloween. But I mean, I don't want to make you afraid. There's some good things happening here. So don't get all, and this is all about, big epochal stuff, not just your little life. Your little life could look different. But here we go. We see that Uranus is at 21. Mars will be at 20, conjunct Pan. This is happening around November the 10th, and this is going to look like something November 10th and 11th. This is going to look like something that has a lot to do with shocking something or others. Now, this could actually be more about China, Wuhan, Lablik. And the reason is because Wuhan and Mercury are co-joined. There's what the news might be about in Sag, which is a sign of the world, by the way. And over here we have Pan and Mars together. Mars cuts, ends, and severs, by the way, and with the word Pan, is that a good thing or bad thing? I don't know, because as well, Mars in the Babylonian tradition is the emissary of the god Nergal, who is the god of war and plagues. Now, when it comes to good old war, Mars is more stealthy in Scorpio. He's not out there getting his sword up at all. So this could really be more stuff being disclosed around things from the back end of intelligence agencies, news stories that they're disclosing information into the public, etc. You can see a lot of this is involving the asteroid America, and in the Sibley chart, the Scorpio part of the chart happens to be the 12th house of the US Sibley chart, and that can be about secrets and things that are hidden, backroom deals, negotiations, the dicey, slicey, and also incarceration and jails, just as a general 12th house theme. With Apollo being square, this energy, and also the sickle and the sword of Mars, and the scythe or sickle of Ceres and America squaring Apollo, there's a possibility we're looking at some stories to do with leaders in America, and maybe leaders in America as it connects to shocking news or shocking developments, etc. So keep all that in mind as well. If I remember correctly, let me just think about the charts of the leaders. I'm not getting enough to go through. I'd have to do a separate video. Let's get going. Well, I know that Donald Trump's in court, and Joe Biden has problems with Hunter. We'll see what happens. Okay. Let's get moving and do all signs, and I'm going to pause right now. We're going to go quickly through all signs. I'm not going to spend an hour on this, guys. This is an overview. What does it mean when Mars is moving through Scorpio? Forget about the Cazimi, but do go back to 1991, the fall of 91, November of 91, add 2 years, because when Mars goes into the heart of the sun, it impacts that part of your sky for 2 years until his next synodic cycle of connecting with the sun in the next sign over, or one of the other signs over. Sometimes he skips a sign, depends on where he is. This is happening in November, I think around 24 degrees of Scorpio, if my memory serves me. And let me double check that, because I know a lot of you will want to know when Mars is in the heart of the sun, and I might be wrong on the date, the degree, because I haven't gotten that video prepared yet. I believe it's the 17th. And it is going to be 25 degrees of Scorpio. So obviously anyone with placements in a 25 Scorpio, 25 degrees of Taurus, 25 degrees of Leo and Aquarius, those planetary placements, sun or moon, are going to get squared or opposed or conjunct that event. So it'll be kind of a big deal for you. Also, anybody ruled by Mars, Aries, and Scorpio rising will have a lot of intensity because of what's happening in the sky around November 17th. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to just prime my chart. And if you're new to my channel and you're still listening, hit that like button, subscribe. All my regulars, thank you so much. I always shout you out. Purple Table Tarot, L.A. Taylor, Ace of Spades, Our Soul Songs, Discerning Light, Grounded Extracts, Crystalline Alchemist, Herbal Empress, and more. Thank you for being in my crew and a part of my people who attend the live premieres with me. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm just changing the settings on the back end, and then we're going to get going so that I can advance the chart, because I had it set for non-whole sign houses, but 0 Aries. Right, whole sign houses. I know a lot of people just pause the recording. I should have just paused the recording. There we go. Got it. Okay, we're taking you guys over to the other chart. And anything else I'm promoting? Not really. Not really. I might be doing my Divine Timing Masterclass or Advanced Techniques in Predictive Astrology in early January. If that interests you, there's a waiting list, and you might want to get on that waiting list, okay? That waiting list sounds like a long process. Okay, here we go. We're not starting with Pisces. People ask me to do it all the time. We're not doing that because in a live premiere, when people come in, if they see Pisces, they think we're done and they just vamoose out. So I always go in zodiacal order. This more traditional in astrology. I apologize though for the Pisces who always feel that they're always at the end of it all. I think I had a Pisces sort of half-assed troll me recently and then try to back off of it and deleted the comments. But it was like, I do my best to give everybody, all signs, the same amount of time. You might think I'm tired by the time I get to Pisces, but I am taking breaks for chocolate and tea in between each sign, and I just pause my recording. So please don't take it personally that you're last. I probably give Aries the most because I'm still like excited by the whole thing of talking. All right, I've got exactly 45 minutes to deliver 12 signs because then I'm going for my foot massage. All right, so welcome to this story, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You are ruled by Mars. It's important for you to note when he moves through the sign of Scorpio, things are happening, and they're happening in your 8th house. This is your chunky money house, and you can look for some significant stories here. October the 12th to November 23rd, as Mars is cutting, severing, ending, paring away all that is not needed, like time to break away from that bank, time to break away from that accounting situation, time to change up the way you're doing your investment strategies. There's changes where Mars goes. He's a god of directional change as well. So think of it that way. Sometimes you can go back 2 years ago. He's here every 2 years, right? And roughly the same time of year, the fall, Scorpio season. But it's this time is so powerful because what the hell is he doing in this part of your sky that he's resetting your buttons here for 2 years? Complete difference in the way you do that back end. Now, for me, that would be as an Aries, Sun, and Moon. That would be my tax situation. I'm going to try to incorporate because I want to reduce my taxes. And so that's probably the Mars story, getting me in touch with the accountant and figuring it out. But when you look at this part of your sky too, there can be some conflict around shared money with a partner, a business partner, a significant other in your life where you share resources. So watch out for fighting there and difficulties with that person. Or if that happens, it'd be October the 12th to the 23rd. Like your, shared money's in a bank account with someone else or your shared earnings with somebody else. And you could have disagreements with the insurance company, the tax man. So be careful here. This looks a little bit not gnarly for that stuff. The big thing I want to focus on right now is just that there's Mars opposite Jupiter. And I talked about that earlier. Hope you listened to some of the details with the asteroid. But Mars opposite Jupiter around the 25th to the 31st of October is where you're coming into this combustive, explosive energy regarding a conflict or a disagreement between Jupiter in your house of earnings and resources and Mars in your house of longer term monies, 401k, and even your larger investment portfolios or savings. Now, I don't know. It could be very much about how you might come into this kind of radical tension at the end of October, where Jupiter is retrograding, trying to fortify and expand your earnings story, and Mars is getting ready to quit and let go of things. And this tension could be really about one single and simple thing that you're really maybe resisting, reorienting around money making, money saving, money earnings, money strategies. Technically, the scythe is up here. This is like the sickle, so be careful here too. It's a good time to take money off the table, basically, and Jupiter is expanding your earnings and Mars is trying to take money off the table. But if you have an explosive 2-8 energy going on, kaboom, especially with Uranus, there may be an unusual way in which money comes to you that you didn't expect. I hate to say it. Like you weren't thinking that you're going to get that inheritance because the person wasn't anywhere near ready to depart the planet, or you didn't even know there was, or you have to go to battle for money that you should possess in an inheritance or a situation where it belongs to you and you're going to fight for it and you're explosive and you're rebellious and you're going to get your money no matter what the hell happens. Okay? That's what it looks like to me. Basically. All right, Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Well, let me go back a bit, maybe a bit. Hang on. Nope, that's it. Keeping it simple. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. So having this energy of Mars resetting for the first time since fall of 1991, add 2 years, so 91, he reset you for 2 years in your a seventh house of marriage and significant partnerships. What were you doing? I know one Taurus rising who got married then. Here comes the bride, you know? So what did you do that reset your life in 1991? And how did that restore or change your reality around marriage, business partnerships? You could have got divorced. You could have got married. You could have gotten to developments with new clients. You could have set in motion legal things that were important. 91 at 2 years. And now also this Mars transit is also just saying, I'm going to help you focus a lot on resetting your seventh house. And there's a big change of guard. Now, unfortunately, this is very much possibly going to end a relationship just because Mars does like to cut, end, and sever. Will it end? No. In October? Of course not. The reset with the sun can be something over 2 years, turbulence or endings in significant relationships. Technically, I also would say that Mars coming into that opposition to Jupiter and then Uranus is going to be very disruptive in the short term around difficulties, arguments with legal matters, legal contracts and agreements, or perhaps with your marriage type partner. So look for some turbulence there on October 27th through the 31st. There is a way that you might be the one that is trying to hold to tradition and do it the way it should always be done, because you're Jupiter with Albion and having a magnanimous approach, where your significant business or other partner or even gnarly client, it's got a sword in your face. So watch out for their disruption, their disagreement, their rebellion even. And also with Alphecca here, you know, Mars is conjunct Alphecca. So they might be acting very entitled. Your business partner, your client, or your significant other might be acting quite entitled during this time frame, especially. I don't know that with the Uranus coming up in the tail end of that on November 10th, it's not the same story in two parts. So there could be difficult discussions going on and conflict and disagreements with those people in your life that are going to then shocking outcomes around November 10th, give or take a day or two. Oh my goodness, with Apollo in the fourth house, some of this stuff could be all about your property, home, and real estate that gets caught up in the land getting caught up in the mix, basically. Yeah, that's about all I can say about that, because don't forget, I do deep dives into each of these videos if you sign up for my channel and hit the like button and subscribe, and then you'll get notified about how each time a major aspect happens, we talk about it, especially every Monday in my week ahead. I pick the hottest topic in the sky during that week to really dive into in depth. And now we're moving on to Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So Gemini, this is a story that happened last in 1991, where the Sun and Mars co-joined in your sixth house of work and health. And so you might have made some major changes if you're alive then. 91 fall add 2 years, or changes happen whether you made them or not. So this is an interesting time because Mars is in the house of his joy. And so between October 12th and November 23rd, Mars is in the house of his joy, which is wonderful for you. The sixth house is his happy zone, but he can help eliminate, cut away, reduce, and walk away from health protocols that don't work, health patterns that are no longer useful, new exercise programs that get you more healthy. But he also here can, you can get fired from a job, or you can see someone in your coworker space leave or get fired. Now, this only applies really if you have employees or employer stories going on. So your employees could leave, or somebody leaves your employment space. If you're a self-starter independent, this doesn't really apply as much, right? Because you really don't have an office space coworkers to which you are that employ you, or you're employing them. Pets, small pets that live in the house, Mars, change regarding those pets over the next 2 years, new directions regarding animals and pets, etc. Now, I would say that with the opposition to Jupiter that's coming up around the 25th to the 31st of October, this is going to be a very turbulent time, and it may be difficulties you're experiencing with foreigners, foreign countries, legal matters involving foreigners in foreign countries, Jupiter in the 12th, some kind of disruption to some kind of earnings that you're making from foreign lands and foreign countries. This is also possibly going to reset you in some fundamental way, in an exciting, maybe explosive way, because Jupiter is still a good guy, about how you wish to create money through your work when it comes to international revenue. In a modern day, that's PayPal, Stripe, that's online businesses. They're all that kind of business. But, it used to be barter trade, spice trade, that kind of thing, or just working for a big international corporation. I kind of want you to consider that there can be some problems with travel with Apollo, the god of plagues, in the third house, and Hygeia in the ninth, and a grand cross. Some of you, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising, feel really acutely disrupted about potential travel and maybe pandemic measures or rules. Even though I think this thing is over, I could be wrong. So keep that in mind. And I think the disruptive energy around November 10th is like something you don't see. It's a bit shocking. You weren't expecting it. And it's disrupting potentially your plans around travel, basically. Finally, I just say with Juno in your fourth house and Mars in your sixth, there could be disruptions around rental property agreements that you didn't see coming as well during this time of, let's say, October 25th through to November the 10th. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. First of all, you have this reset button of the Sun and Mars coming together to reset over 2 years. Fifth house matters, to do with children, to do with romantic love and sexuality, to do with pregnancy and fertility, to do with creativity and entrepreneurial business. And, it's interesting because, this happened to you in 1991, November, at 2 years. You might want to go back and think about your life with those themes and how it may have played out for you. I mean, did you have a child, move out of the house? Did you have a disruption in a romance? Did a pregnancy not continue? Did you decide not to continue one? Mars is often connected in the fifth house to choices not to have a child, terminating, or sometimes, it happens, guys, miscarriages, right? I just have to be honest. So there's that. I'm not saying you're going to have 2 years of that. I'm just talking about what Mars is doing between October 12th and November 23rd. All right. And he's also resetting your buttons for 2 years on November 17th. Now, Mars here can be children leaving the nest, cutting away. And over the next 2 years, of course, that's very possibly what's happening, or a sizzling hot passionate romance coming into your life. I mean, lots of passion over the next 2 years, or a passionate business project that you wish to create. But if you already have a business, like entrepreneurial business, Cancer rising, or you already have a romantic partner, that may be also very disruptive in some way. As we move towards the 25th to the 31st of October, and then later around the 10th, we have a 1-2 punch with Mars first opposing Jupiter, who's following the rules from on high in the house of elder sibling and larger groups of friends and social groups of belonging. That's your 11th house, and the connection to Uranus around the 10th, which is some shocking, surprising developments. Now, the degree to which it's going to be negative is pretty mitigated by the fact that Jupiter is sextiling your ascendant. And so even though he's retrograde and even though he's trying to be rules bound, you might just find that this is some kind of urge to break the rules, to bust out and do it your own way, in an explosive way, to do with your creative projects, to do with your children, to do with your fertility, to do with your entrepreneurial business, etc. So you might be just busting away in a kind of rebellious mood to figure out how to do it differently. And, you could belong to a group of writers and they'll have the rules about how you're supposed to do something. You decide to go cross genre and do it your own way. Big, but it's rebellious and it's like wanting to end and cut things. Now, possibly, I just said kids moving out, but you could also denest the kid. This could be very combative energy where you're coming from on high and you're deciding to ask an adult child who's in the basement for the last 20 years to leave the house or something like that. Okay. And even if that happens, I mean, there's a flow between Mars in Scorpio and your Cancer rising. So it's not all that bad at all, really. And anything else I say? No, we're going to keep on keeping on so I can go to my foot massage. Don't forget, all this content is going to be given to you in much more depth in all my weekly reports and all the other content I put out. This is the overview. So here we go. We have Mars for you, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, moving through the sign of Scorpio, which she does every 2 years. And this is October 12th to the 23rd, allowing for changes regarding where you live, your home, renovations, constructions in your home, arguing and conflict in your home. Okay, that's the vibe. But also this time, unlike most times in 1991, for example, and go back and listen to my video for all the dates back in time, right? It's every 30 years or so. In 1991, November, add 2 years. Mars was also like this time, like in November of this year on the 17th, going into the heart of the sun. And going into the heart of the sun to get born again into a new iteration of himself. And if that's happening in your fourth house, there's a new homecoming for you, likely in the next 2 years, or 2 years fraught with tension and conflict in your home. So either you're being asked to move or change your home, cut or end your home, or there's just going to be 2 years of conflict in your home, which I don't want for you, or a lot of renovating and hammering and sawing and building or something like that in your home. Certainly just be a little cautious here this month not to have accidents in the home. It's water sign. It's not likely not fires. I'm not trying to worry you, but slipping in your home, so injuries in the home can be a challenging question mark. Just be cautious during the month of November. Well, be more cautious a little bit around November 10th that you don't hurt yourself at home, basically. There's a big grand cross in the sky, and you've got Apollo in the house of you, and Hygeia in the house of your significant other. And I don't know what that's about. Maybe you're going to come into some bold crown-like thing where you declare around the 25th to the 31st of October, something from on high, Jupiter in the 10th house with the crown on Mars. What would you like to do? This making a change in your home that also is exciting, expansive, and explosive in your career and reputation space. And maybe there's something about that Jupiter saying, well, we've been following the rules, doing it the way it's always been done. And Mars is from the home base saying, change direction, do it differently. For example, Mars, however, if your IC is in the fourth house, can help you leave your job or quit your job or have your job leave you, just so you know. Or your IC floats in whole sign houses, and some of you may have that cutting of the root of your career from the fourth house placement this November as he crosses your IC. And Jupiter can be a boss, and you may be having conflict with the boss, and you're putting your dukes up from home. So if you have a superior that's really rules bound and you want to rebel, you certainly are rebelling by November the 10th. And I don't know how hard you're going to rebel. That could be like, I'm out of here. Okay. So some of you have some really big turbulence and explosive action in the career and workspace as well. But you're wearing a crown, so you feel entitled to make the changes that you want. Now, moving into you, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, and then I'm going to get a chocolate break and come back. If you're a Virgo, this is an energy that's suggesting to you that you're going to make some changes over the next 2 years. But let's go back to the basics. I'm sorry. October the 12th to November 23rd, Mars is doing this every 2 years, travel through your third house of siblings, short trips and travel, local neighborhood, online world, and things to do with communicating, especially writing. And Mars coming through and learning, skills-based learning. Now, Mars coming through here has got a sharp sword, and he's opposing Jupiter in the house of academic environments, or foreign shores and foreign countries, or legal matters and passports and visas, or third marriages, meaning your third long-term marriage-like relationship. People ask me, what do you mean by third marriage? I mean like the third marriage. Like, what do you mean I mean by that? Okay, second house can be your second marriage. Ninth house can be your third marriage, or third marriage-like relationship. Probably living together. And so if you have Mars in your third house, you might want to leave your neighborhood over the next while. Between October 12th and November 23rd, you might be traveling from your neighborhood, leaving your neighborhood. You may as well have conflict with a sibling, particularly younger, and that wouldn't be uncommon, but a sibling in general, conflict with a sibling. You may also be looking at the possibility of travel in order to learn something, because the educational access is highly activated. This sort of reset button in the third house can really reset you over 2 years. Go back to November of 91, add 2 years. Did you make some major resets in third house matters like your neighborhood, neighbors, etc.? I'm just thinking about my daughter for a minute. Not my daughter, she was not born in 1991. My son. Yes, my son got hauled to DC. There you go. So my son was born and lived in New York City. And then when he was that age in November 91, we moved to Washington, DC. He had a change of neighborhood. That's a big change of neighborhood, right? Friendship Heights. But you see, we were only a baby and the universe changed his neighborhood. So change of, and childhood friends. So your high school friends, your elementary school friends, this is your preschool friends. These are the friends that are formed in the third house. My son lost his preschool friends, right? So it's really literal, this stuff. So you might be having a big change of neighborhood, Virgo, over the 2 years that follow, because there's a Cazimi reset on November the 23rd. 17th at 24 degrees of Scorpio or so, 25 degrees of Scorpio. There may be some kind of conflict regarding travel and education, some kind of real gnarly situation you're just feeling during the month, especially the 25th to November of October to the 31st of October. And also, you might want to get visas and passports working, and some things are falling apart here, or court and legal matters are kind of stuck, the way they've always been done, Jupiter on high with Albion, and there's some kind of radical need to crunch away and break away from something to do with the idea of the rules in a legal matter. And by November 10th, with Uranus-Mars opposition, there's some startling, shocking result in the area to do with courts and visas and passports and travel and education. I'm a little concerned for my Virgo rising daughter at university because of this Hygeia and Apollo thing. I hope the university doesn't instate some kind of mandate about medical procedures in order to continue the last 6 months of her education, right? That would be awful. Okay, moving on. Given she's already had 2 medical procedures plus Delta, and she was fine with Delta without any medical procedures and was forced to have them and to keep her job. And yeah, don't get me started. Just don't get me started. Don't get me started. As my man would say, don't get Lori started. Okay, I'm going to do a pause because I'm going to get some chocolate. And then I'm going to keep recording. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit my notification bell. And if you're in live premiere, hit the like button. I really appreciate it. Okay, guys, I'm back, and let's get that share back on and finish this up. I noticed that I cut out again, and I don't know how to fix it. Sorry about that. I think it has to do with my computer because the internet's fine. Okay, moving into the next story. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign in the sky. What happens here is that you've got Mars moving between October the 12th and the 23rd of November. And he's moving through Scorpio, and he's going to make changes in your money, earnings, and financial structures. And it could be a place over 2 years of turbulence, because this is where Mars has will dive in the heart of the sun, November the 17th. Now, especially if your Libra sun, moon, or rising is anywhere near 25 degrees of Libra. And so this is almost saying, well, there's going to be some big changes. I mean, we had Venus Cazimi here as well at the end of October last year. So you're coming into some big money changes for you, and connections to the way, like, you've had a lot of changes in general, right? Venus Cazimi in the house of you in October last year, giving you personal changes over 4 years that are massive magnitude and mostly positive. And then you have this money change with Mars Cazimi in your second house of earnings and possessions and self-worth. Now, Mars cuts, eliminates, and severs. And so just as a general principle, October 12th to November 23rd, it's good to eliminate foods from your system, drink or things you put in your mouth that you don't need. And it's not too bad for any kind of surgical or dermabrasion to your face as well. Anything too sharp or lasery on your face could be a good time. October 12th to the 23rd with a qualifier. Mars is invisible. Okay, you can't see him in the sky because he's getting ready to come into the heart of the sun. And when he's invisible, I'm not so sure I keep that advice as true, but just, a possibility to think about it both ways. Mars is going to be making some changes to your way you speak, to what you want to give voice to in the world. And I want you to think about the next 2 years. Like, where do you really want to apply your drive, passion, and ambition when it comes to the way you earn money, especially finding one that has a sense of devotional flame, Vesta in the 10th house. And maybe it's not about making money over the next couple of years, but being passionately engaged in what you wish to do in order to reap the harvest of the greater gains in your career that you possibly can get with Apollo in your 11th as well. How can you be really leading into something new? Now, technically, the opposition to Jupiter in the 8th house, well, there's a T-square to Apollo that can look like cutting out of a situation and work that you no longer want, and eliminating that from your life. But Jupiter is also in the inheritance house. So the energy around the 25th of October to the 31st, and then again on November 10th, give or take a few days, really seems to be some shocking discoveries or shocking events or surprising and explosive events around inheritance money, shared monies with a partner, bank loans and mortgages, tax payments, tax rebates, credit card debts. Investments, be careful. I mean, Jupiter is retrograde. Uranus is shock and awe. The Taurus part of the sky is having that last eclipse, October 28th. This is still the end of this is the beginning of the valuation of the markets and currencies devaluing since the eclipses began in Taurus back in November 21. So you look very much like you need to take care of your investments, your real estate, your property matters as well, and your tidy up those financials and your longer term financials like your 401k. Mars is like cutting and entering and severing, though, something in your food style for sure. And over the next 2 years, as he comes into the heart of the sun, you might go from I'm an omnivore to I'm a vegan, from I'm a vegan to I'm an omnivore, I'm a keto to a whatever. I can't even say that word anymore. I think YouTube's banning keto. This is a crazy world we're in. But you may change your food style. You may change your food style dramatically. And maybe your voice, vocation, and calling as well. Big changes for you guys. But a lot of this is turbulence in the money axis, especially your earnings. And it can mean that there can be some earnings change that may feel difficult for the next couple of years. However, in the longer game of it, I think it's going to be fine. And Jupiter is in your inheritance house and glowing up your larger monies until the third week of May next year. And you can't complain about that, right? So that's pretty sweet. And then just watch out for little shocking surprises. And I can't tell you what they are. They kind of explode financially, and good or bad, is it bad or is it good? You know, that old Zen parable. Mars is in dignities, trying to do something good here, but it can be the end of a job. Sometimes Mars in the second house as a transit alone is the end of a job. This would mean maybe the end of a job, but also over 2 years, the end of a career path for some of you, Libra, Sun, Moon, and rising signs. Scorpio, this is your sign. You are Scorpio. Holy moly, you're changing. Go back to 1991. You know, my son was a Scorpio then. He was hauled by me from Manhattan to Washington, D.C., had a whole change of life, right? So it's a kind of big reinvention of self. You know, you got to think about like a 3-year-old doesn't have a clue, 2.5, 3-year-old, who he was in Manhattan. His whole identity began to form by being hauled off to Washington, D.C., and starting a preschool there and stuff like that. So it's kind of back. If you're a Scorpio rising, can you remember like 1959 fall and 1991 fall? Because these were the times that these kinds of massive resets of the sun and the Cazimi, Mars in the heart of the sun happened in your sky, in the Scorpio part of the sky, which is you. If you're a rising sign Scorpio, it's about you personally, especially if your rising sign is near 25 degrees, 20 to 29 degrees Scorpio rising. Big freaking deal for you, but all Scorpios will feel it. If it's your sun, it might be your career, father figures, purpose, mom. It could be your mind, your body, maybe things to do with your home and security and safety, the material part of life as it comes to the nest, right? And those are the changes that you might be having over the next 2 years. So, but Scorpio risings, it's your whole life can change. Everything about you, your career, the one you're with, where you live, the whole kit and caboodle, because this is the steering wheel of the chart that aims its gaze at the house of career, house of marriage, house of home, you know, everything. So your steering wheel is getting redesigned here. Maybe you were in a Volvo, now you want a Maserati, and this is your upgrade. Mrs. Mars, your Lord of the sky for you. He's doing the best he can to change things for you. Now, remember, this is still just an October 12th to November 23 Scorpio transit, and you may be making some very significant changes in the way you approach your health, your body. You may start exercising more. You may cut something out of your life that you don't want anymore. You may cut something away from your career, from your significant relationship or your home life that you don't want anymore. You've got the sword in your hand. If you were any other sign but Scorpio, watch for injuries. Watch for injuries, right? He's in the house of your body. But you are actually loved up by Mars, and I don't think I'm worried about that. But still, of course, be careful. Don't go bungee jumping this month, please. Or jump out of an airplane or anything radical, or scuba diving where sharks are living. All right. The other thing, I love the word I'm not going to apologize. I've become the queen of Jupiter and Uranus, lots of disruption in the marriage house, right? And you may have been feeling that anyway since 2019. And marriage, business partners, clients, that kind of thing, audience, marketplace, and legal agreements. And Jupiter here, opposite this Mars, there's this intensity that's quite explosive coming through your sky around the 25th to the 31st of October, with follow-up reverb of some shock and awe around November the 10th, as Mars will come into opposition to both Jupiter and Uranus after that. This can be about your partner, not even about you. This might be your partner and their world is going into shocking and crazy ass developments, but you got a sword and you may not be putting up with it. You may be kind of like, the drama is a bit much, darling. You might be wanting to sort of combat it, to rebel against it, to push back against it. Now, there's a possibility with Apollo, the sun god, in the 10th house, that you may have some massive shift regarding your career space and path during this month, especially around the 25th to the 31st of October. And you might be making some Mars decisions to change your work significantly. And that's exciting if you want to change it, because I love how you've got a sword in your hand and you can use that sword as you wish. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. All right, between October the 12th and November 23rd, Mars traveling through your Scorpio 12th house, and this is every 2 years, is simply a slicing, paring away, and releasing of addictions, self-sabotaging thoughts, patterns, the way you undo your own life because you're your own worst enemy. However, he's in the house of jails and hospitals. And so jails and hospitals can be very thematic at this time of year. If Mars is here sometimes, especially with the sun, a solar figure or a grandparent with Ceres can end up in the hospital during this window of time. Now, on the other hand, this is also a very deep soul work house. It's a moksha house, and what you cut away can lead to a greater sense of God, truth, and enlightenment. What you release and surrender, let go of, cut away is important. As Mars is moving through here, I would like you to go back to 1991, because in November of 91, he did what he's going to do this November 17th of 2023, join with the sun. This reset, this Cazimi, is rare. As I said, last in 1991. Add 2 years. Now it's this fall, add 2 years. Major changes in the 9th house matters. Now, I told you health, self-sabotage, addictions, but it's also foreign shores, especially residence. And Mars here can incite you to move to a foreign land or foreign shore in a couple of years that follow. But however, it's also a place of difficulty, a place of turbulence, a place of stress. When he dies in the heart of the sun, that's not your easiest part of the sky, right? We'll be talking about the Capricorn part. His heliacal rising Capricorn is going to bring you a lot of good money stories down the road, starting in January for 2 years. But no, this is going to bring some difficulties. And if some of you are already in a foreign country from the shore of your birth, residing, you may decide to leave. Yep. Now, Jupiter crosses away October 25th to the 31st. Then on November 10th, Uranus gets in the mix. A two for punch, right? Two for punch here of something that has to do with some kind of explosive energy to do with your health or work environment. Now, it can be health. Jupiter is trying to protect your health, but he's going backwards. So it's older health problems could be coming back, or things from the past with your health may suddenly explode. And Mars rules inflammation, but because it's coming from the 12th house, it's also the axis of karma. So karmic health challenges can be emerging, certainly during the 25th to the 25th of October to the 31st. And there's a more shock and surprises as well, as Mars then opposes Uranus. Now, it could also be shocking, surprising changes to do with pets, rental situations, and even with things to do with debt situations as well. Now, Mars rules your house of children and house of romance, and there can be some explosive energy around those characters in your life as well. When we get to the all signs for the Cazimi, though, really look for, because I'm going to put a whole video out on that, really look for something like the silver lining of this transit is honestly maybe the idea here that you could be bringing into your life a teacher, because Jupiter's right across the way. And maybe there is, like for the spiritually inclined Sages, you could be coming into contact with a new spiritual teacher, guide, mentor, or even therapist type person. Lastly, Jupiter is in the house of the work routines, the place of employment or employees. And so there could be some big disruptions with that kind of place in your life, those stories. Maybe the way the office routine has always gone is now disrupted and shocking changes are going on and the boss is fired, or things like that could really occur for those of you Sagittarius who have a job, a job. And with Apollo, the sun god in the house of foreign shores as well, we keep seeing the same issues reoccurring. Again, what's this disruption to do with the word foreigners? Hygeia in the house of travel. Maybe there's some pandemic problems going on again, and there's some just big disruptions, not just this month, but over the next 2 years even, regarding those themes of travel, foreign countries, and mobility. Don't put a good Sag down, man. You guys are like flight bound. We fly the friendly skies is, I swear, the motto for Sagittarius, okay? It's your motto. Okay, now moving into the next story is the Capricorn sun, moon, and rising. Mars is the exaltation planet for you, so you guys have a special relationship because he gets his VIP treatment from Saturn when he visits Capricorn. So you don't mind Mars in your 11th house no matter what, because he's in a very positive relationship to you called a sextile. And as he's up here, he's going to make changes. Now, first of all, the short-term change is October 12th to November 23rd. And that's just simply changes of friends, changes of social groups, changes of your wishes and dreams, changes of your earning structures for your greater career gains, right? There's Venus in the 10th house, maybe saying it's time to balance out your career stories, let go of what you don't need. But that's a whole other video that I will be putting out. Also, the reset that last happened in 1991, November, plus 2 years from the November of 91, to add 2 years, to do with those friendship groups and circles is back again. Often Mars has people leave, sever, end those relationships. It's also the elder sibling. And so an elder sibling can also be involved in some kind of change of direction in your life over the 2 years that follows this particular video, between November 17th, add 2 years, changes with elder siblings as a general rule. And just maybe cutting away from friends, or they're cutting away from you, new social groups, new belonging groups, new passionate directions in the way you create greater career gains. Be careful, like there's an axis of the 8-2 that's activated this month. And I mean, it could bring you into some kind of crucible crisis regarding fiscal hygiene. And your 401k and your savings, be cautious around the stock markets, especially between October the 25th and the 31st of October. Jupiter is like doing things from on high with your children, with your romantic love affairs, not significant committed love, just romantic love, sexual love. Your entrepreneurial consulting type businesses, your house of creativity and inspiration, and pregnancy. So this is an energy here that's a lot about this idea that maybe you're having some kind of explosive tension at October 23rd to the 31st, and again November 10th or so, give or take a couple of days, with somebody like a child, like an adult child, little child, doesn't matter. Then this explosive tension is kind of all offside you. I mean, you could have some kind of tension between your children and an elder sibling, for goodness sake, and their uncle. Like, it could be all about other people, or, we don't always have to make it about us. Energetically, houses 5 and 11 are positive and fortunate houses. And this doesn't feel all that bad for you, but do know that you're resetting some agenda. Maybe you're recalibrating over 2 years what it is you really wish to see, hope for, and desire in your life as what it is that you're supposed to be doing in order to accumulate some career gains or purpose gains, or just kind of like, what's that old bucket list really look like? Now, Mars is giving difficulty here, and it can lead to difficulty with an elder sibling because it is that house, or with a particular friend. And maybe over the next couple of years, a leave taking, whether through, yes, death. Yes, it happens, or just a distance between you. I'm one of you. I'm an Aquarius sun, moon, and rising sign, and the sky is telling us that we have a career change. 1991 was the last time this happened. It collapsed my journalism career. I can tell you it was exactly that. I was a journalist in New York City. I worked for a trade magazine in Chelsea. We moved to Washington. I got pregnant, and then we moved to Washington, D.C. Then there was a mini recession. Well, there was just no jobs. And also New York City didn't have the kind of magazines I'd work for. I was about to go to Glamour. I mean, not New York City, but Washington, D.C. And so it really was for me. I'll give you an example. Mars resetting the button. Like, okay, let me go back. October 12th to the 23rd, just Mars is doing his every 2-year transit through our 10th house. It makes us passionate, hardworking, driven, engaged, committed, focused, obsessed and intense about our career. That's what that means, and our reputation. However, this time, like 1991, November, add 2 years, he will meet with the sun at 25 degrees Scorpio this time, really impacting the later degree Aquarians, but sun, moon, and rising, but all of us. And in some ways, he just simply says, well, this is changing. We're not doing the old career anymore. This is our new direction. It may feel frustrating. It may feel difficult because there's always a turbulence where Mars goes into the heart of the sun. It doesn't mean in 2 years that nothing good happens. It just means it's not like, yay, this is amazing. And I can remember being in Washington, D.C. and really frustrated for those first 2 years, 1991 fall. I literally arrived at the doorstep of D.C. in September of 91, 2-3, to not knowing what the hell I was doing. It wasn't until 1994 that I figured out my next move. So honestly, like I was unemployed or migrating between different opportunities and trying different things and didn't know what I wanted. So I became a professional psychic at the end of it all. So and it led to something good. So trust the process of letting go. It's a big deal. This is angular, like the Leos and the Tauruses and the Scorpios and the Aquarians getting a lot of intensity around this Cazimi. And so you're going to have to let go and sever, cut, and release some path of career. And after the South Node transit through Scorpio for the last year and a half, most of us know what that is anyway. I'm going to give up one-on-one readings probably. It's just not time in my life that I have the energy to do that anymore after 4 or 5 years of thousands of clients. So that's an example, right? Maybe I won't even be an astrologer. Maybe I'll grow up to be like a rocket scientist instead. Now, Jupiter crossed away for all of us, the 25th of October to the 31st. And then on around November 10th as well, where the shock is come, there's that Mars opposite Jupiter, Mars opposite Uranus. Now Mars opposite Jupiter, Jupiter's on high with Albion, the asteroid beside him. I didn't draw it in. He's trying to follow the rules and do it the way it's always been done. And, just follow the dogma around property, home, land, real estate, and homeland. Mars is across the way at the top of the house of reputation and career. And they are in a T-square to Apollo in the 7th house of clients, audience, and marketplace. And Apollo could be making a big change with that T-square in terms of how you serve those audience, market, clients, and all of that. Technically, you might have to also look at the idea of taking care of your health, not just this month, but certainly this month. I wouldn't bake this into 2 years. But, Mars is squaring Hygeia in the house of your body. The moon is there as well around the 18th of November. Close to the Cazimi or at the Cazimi. So one of the things I'd say is that perhaps there is a baking in a bit of like take care of your health, but just during this time, October 12th to the 23rd of November, Hygeia in a broad square to Mars in the 10th means overworking, draining your body, overworking, draining your health. The drive is going to take you down. Be careful. Jupiter, though, house, property, land, and real estate expansion and growth till the end of May next year, might be Mars saying, break the effing rules, do it differently, find a way that's not been done before in terms of your home and property and real estate endeavors. And certainly with Juno in the 8th house, some of you might be contracting to buy, sell, or even rent a new property. And it may be very rule breaking or something during the month of October into November. I don't know what rule breaking for those property matters are, but I'll let you know what happens with me. Now, Pisces, I missed you. Oh, let me fix it. I got to go by minutes. Yeah, this happens every now and then. The system is like, there we go. Pisces. I'm going to give you the longest reading ever. Longer than Aries. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Yeah, here we go. Happens to be that this is an event, October 12th to November 23rd, of Mars in your 9th house of visas, travel, foreign shores, foreigners, foreign lands, academic settings, learning, professors, guides, counselors, mentors, father figures. And there's some ending, cutting, severing, changes, directions, momentum. Mars travels a lot. Like when Mars goes through the 9th house, people often take journeys abroad. There may be some big trips coming for you, and you may be finding that travel is an option for you, October 12th to November 23rd. Mars up here is also going to meet with the sun on November 17th, and especially a Pisces born between 20 and 29 degrees, you're really going to feel it a lot because this is the energy of Mars in the heart of the sun, signaling a change of foreign status. So it can mean like You move to a foreign land in the next 2 years. You leave a foreign land from your birthplace in the next 2 years. You change your countries. You may change your academic degrees. You may go change your school and college, university. You could change your book publishing company if you're already publishing with somebody. There's a big change up there in the ninth house, right? Your third marriages are up here, big changes in the house of third marriages. You may could also be able to change something to do with courts and legal matters that you need to attend to, and you may be fighting for what you want in legal settings with Mars up there anyway, October 12th to the 23rd, like the battle lawyer going to town for you. But the reset button makes the ninth house turbulent over 2 years, right? So things to do with foreigners and foreign countries can feel rather turbulent over the 2 years that follow. Jupiter in your third house is saying something along the lines of, well, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to get you some expansion and travel, expansion in your neighborhood, expansion with your siblings, expansion with your learning and writing. But we're doing it the way it's always been done, from the on high, the rules of how it should always be and always has been. That's Albion that I didn't draw in with Jupiter. And around the 25th of October to the 31st, there's some conflict from ninth house figures and your third house life. So because siblings involved, it can be some sibling conflict, especially with Pluto getting kind of tucked into the narrative a little bit here in a trine from the 11th house. And so you get sibling houses activated, but you also could be talking about a big change here that you're resisting. Jupiter wants to do it the way it's been done. He wants to hunker down. He wants to do it in short distance travel, car trips. Mars is disagreeing, but this is an explosive energy too, that Mars combat resistance arguing with Jupiter. And Mars is probably going to win. The ninth house will win. So, there you go. Your third marriage will win. Your book publishing house will have the higher say. The publisher says, no, we're not going to do your writing project this way. We're going to change it. If you have an online business, do the online world, see clients and stuff. That's Jupiter in your third house. Some big disruptions from ninth house matters to do with legal situations, visas, passports, or travel. And the explosive energy of November 10th, whatever that could be about specifically, could be a major unexpected disruption to travel plans for you on a very short-term notice. Just look for ninth house parts of your sky to be the area of greatest change over the next 2 years. I mean, you could change your nationality. Passports and passport companies and, bureaucracies belong in the ninth house. And so that means taking on another citizenship and doing your citizenship vows can be, or repatriating from one country to another if you already changed your country. Very much a story for many Pisces. You do have some suggestion that some of you might want to change your legal status or environment, your money, your home status to do with a significant committed partnership, Juno and Virgo and that part of the sky. The Apollo tension between the 6th and 12th axis, Apollo Hygeia here. You could have some tensions regarding work and work situations and travel situations, right? And the work boss environment, the job environment, somehow at odds perhaps with the travel plans. And I don't want Hygeia in the mix, but she's here too in the house of foreign shores. So again, hopefully we're not looking at many people's charts this kind of idea, some sort of pandemic restrictions returning for some reason. Let's cross our fingers that that's not true, and that indeed is a story that is over. Jupiter is your Lord. Okay. So Pisces, he's a good guy for you, and he's supporting you over the next 2 years until the end of May next year to really up level your situation around travel, local neighborhood environments, where you live, what neighborhood you want to live in, things to do with siblings, things to do with cousins, things to do with childhood friends. So you got a lot of blessings, online world, online business world. You got a lot of blessings here and a bit of self-starter. You can start your own entrepreneurial business if you're devoted to it. And that could be what's really percolating, is for you to have this insider breakthrough. And it can be baking in a bit of that too over the next 2 years, trying to strike out on your own, create your own business, your own company. That's all very possible with third house, fifth house placements during the time of this Cazimi. Thanks for listening. I hope that was useful. I hope, Pisces, I got enough of your time in there. I just think Pisces have a a hang up because they are last, right? And I know that you have to wait a long time, but I really think I cannot believe how many complaints I get from Pisces over the last year and a half, 2 years on this channel that they're not getting enough hours from me. And I don't think that's true. I think they're getting the same amount of time as anyone else, or if not sometimes longer, because I'm trying to overcompensate. Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Don't have my guest book with me, but Misbehaving LA Taylor, oh my God, Serge Labelle, Michael Thrash, Plen from off in Belgium or something like that. Right, all you guys, you're amazing people who are always with me in these live chats, and we get to know each other over the last year or two. Thank you for being a part of my crew. If you know what I'm talking about, it's that I do live premieres for every video I put out. So I make the video, record the video, I edit the video, I do the graphics for the video. My sister timestamps the video. Then I spend time with you listening to the video. So I have a very busy life here on YouTube. That's why I can't see as many clients. I listen to the video with you to take your questions, to connect and engage with you. I'm trying to build community in a meaningful way on this platform. I wish you all the very best as Mars moves through Scorpio, and enjoy the ride.